Hello, people, and welcome to Nerd Talk. With me today is my co-host, Joe,
Hi.
who is very enthused. Anyways, we thought today would be a good time to talk about the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, since we just saw Age of Ultron, which we'll get into towards the end of the podcast, so that way we can go into spoilers, but we won't be talking about anything spoilery until the end. So yeah, next up is Civil War, which I'm excited for, but at the same time not too excited for, because the fact that they've already confirmed every character. There's no Daredevil or Luke Cage or Scarlet Witch or nothing like that. At least I don't think Scarlet Witch was confirmed.
And they went on to tell you that there's going to be an Avengers after, so you know X amount of characters are still going to be alive, otherwise they couldn't do Avengers.
Yeah, that's the problem. I'm still excited for Civil War, but everyone's speculating about how they're actually going to do Civil War, since there's no secret identity. Everyone has their identity is known by everyone, or at least the U.S. government, which is all that it needs to be known by.
Not Ant-Man.
True, not yet. We don't know. We'll see in the movie. It'll come out.
Maybe Captain America will take a stand for one hero.
Yeah, Ant-Man and Spider-Man are the only two with secret identities. Or at the end of Ant-Man 1, he can come out and say, "I am Ant-Man." It's like
true.
Iron Man, he could do it.
Yeah, I have a feeling they won't do that.
But the most popular theory right now is that they're just going to go out and be like, everyone needs to answer to someone.
Yeah, but they could also try to, what Iron Man, he repeated the Ultron project twice. He tried 2 attempts at it, so what if he tried taking another attempt, and that's what divides them? I think that might actually work.
Maybe. I don't know. Because
it already caused them to fight once. The second time, if he tries to do it, Captain America would not stand for that.
Yeah, that's the thing. They could start Civil War if they brought in the Netflix characters, because no one knows who Daredevil is. I don't know what they're going to do with Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, because, Luke Cage doesn't wear a mask,
Yeah.
but Jessica Jones does.
Well, neither does Superman, but they make it
True,
work.
but anyways, so you could have Daredevil, Ant-Man, Jessica Jones, and Spider-Man. That's 4 characters with secret identities.
And then they
that
could
make Civil War
introduce
work.
a few. I don't know who they'd introduce, but they could introduce somebody.
Yeah. Which, they could do but the problem is, they haven't even announced all those people, and Civil War just started shooting.
Yeah.
So, also, Spider-Man, if this is Spider-Man's debut, how do you think they're going to use him?
How are they going to use them?
How do you think they're going to use him, and how would you want them to use him? Because Marvel does not like to do what you want.
I would like them to use him as him to develop the tension between the two sides. He really looks up to Captain America, but Iron Man makes the argument, with great power comes great responsibility, so he's gotta, choose Iron Man's side, even though he really respects Captain America. How they're going to use him is they'll probably just throw him in there as another person on Iron Man's side, they're probably not going to use him that significantly. Because they don't have a tendency to develop characters very well in the first movie, especially if you have all those other plots going on.
Yeah, so you want them to use him in the comic. Don't you know better? Marvel won't do that.
Well, I said that's how I want them, not how I thought they'd use them.
But, well, the thing is, he's going to have an insignificant role, since they haven't even announced the actor yet, and they just started shooting.
Yeah, that's an issue, but
I
still feel like that's the best way to develop strong tension between the two sides. Show it in a character that everybody knows and loves.
That would be perfect. The problem is, it's only one movie, so say, if they follow the comic beginning, he's with Iron Man, then he switches over to Captain America later on, it's going to be within the span of 2 hours. They'll be he's really flip-floppy, because I hate how Civil War is only one movie. It should have been at least 2, because it's such a huge event, but instead, they're one movie, 2 hours, there you go. Which sucks. Maybe they'll pull Lord of the Rings and make it 3 hours.
Yeah, they'll probably make it closer to 3. Otherwise, it won't be long enough.
I hope they make it 3 hours. That'd be so much better, because Civil War is so huge. You got so many different things going on. The character, I don't even remember what characters are confirmed. I know Hawkeye is confirmed, Black Widow is confirmed.
Black Panther.
Yeah, Black Panther, not Spider-Man, Iron Man, Captain America. Let's see, Hulk wasn't, Thor wasn't.
Which they're probably going to neglect those two, because they're 2 powerful wild cards. Whoever gets one of those, it's over.
Yeah. But well, like in the comic, Thor didn't even want to be a part of either, but he still beat up Iron Man because Iron Man made that cyborg
Which you're
version
not
of
gonna
him.
do that. He's
I
not
love
gonna,
Ragnarok though.
He's not gonna make a cyborg.
If he made a cyborg Thor and then Thor came out of nowhere and beat the crap out of Iron Man for doing that, that'd be awesome.
Don't they have the third Thor movie? What's that gonna be?
Ragnarok.
Is that before Captain America 3 though?
That's after, I think. So who knows? Maybe
They'll probably just use that to explain Thor's absence.
Yeah, probably. Or they could just be like, "Hey, I don't want to be a part of it," and that's it.
Yeah, and then they'll have Hulk. He's in like Hawaii or Alaska, wherever he went to.
Yeah, wherever Hulk wants to go. And yeah, that's the problem. There's not very many characters in this. It's like it seems like there's more characters in Age of Ultron.
It feels like it's gonna be one of those street skirmishes. You have like 5 people running at 5 people clashing in the streets.
Civil War. So that's big. I hope they can do it justice, but we'll see.
I doubt it.
Well, then after that, you got Infinity War. Part
Which they could use Civil War as the way Thanos gets one of the gems.
Yeah. Like
I mean, since we said no spoilers, we might not want to say more than that, but...
No, we won't go any spoilers till the end.
Yeah. But they could just use Civil War as a way Thanos starts getting gems.
Yeah, they really introduced Thanos way too early in the MCU. It should have been Guardians when they introduced him.
They introduced him with a smile.
Yeah, and like it was way too early. Should have waited till Guardians because we've been waiting for Thanos forever. At least that's how it feels since they introduced him so early.
Feels like the one menace and villain. Like he's not cracking jokes.
Yeah, well, we don't know yet. Wait till
That's
the
what we
movie
thought
comes
about
out.
Ultron too.
Yeah, but that changed.
But with Civil War, I think the first movie will be about him like tearing apart all the different heroes to get the gem.
War?
Yeah, Infinity War. I think the first part will be about him tearing apart all the different heroes to get each of the gems, and then the second one will be all the heroes uniting against him to try to stop him.
How do you think they're gonna take him down?
I don't know, because in the comics, it's stolen from him by Nebula. They could pull that again. But I don't see how they're gonna do that and make it.
Nebula sucked in Guardians. I hated Nebula.
Not Nebula. Yeah, his daughter,
Yeah.
the purple one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Nebula, yeah. But she stole it from him. And which she sucked in the comics too, but Thanos had his guard down because he was given one of his lectures that villains love to give.
Like Magneto in Days of Future Past couldn't kill like Mystique 5 times over, but instead have to give his stupid little speech every time.
But what's a villain without a speech?
Zod.
Ultron recognized that.
Zod gave that one speech right before he started punching the crap out of Superman. That was like the only speech he gave. Well, and what's it called? Feora gave a
like
speech.
2 lines.
It was an awesome speech too. My soul, that is what you have taken from me. Ah!
That wasn't
Like,
a speech.
that's the thing,
That's a line.
It's true. But there was like a little speech. The thing is, the Kryptonians didn't let the speeches like affect what happened.
Yeah.
And like everyone else was like they're giving a speech and then they got taken down like Magneto did.
I think what they'll really do with Thanos is they might have another dance off. He'll get distracted.
Yeah, Star-Lord's just like, dance off, bro. Ooh,
Because he's going to have to take on Guardians to get that Infinity Gem. He's going to have to take on Avengers to get an Infinity Gem. He's going to have to go to Asgard to get an Infinity Gem. So he's going to have to appear in a lot of different movies taking gems.
Thanos the movie, they could just make that. It's a road trip movie with Thanos just going across the galaxy getting every single one.
Or they could have cameos. He's like a thief. He just sneaks in and steals
Or
the
it
gems.
turns out Stan Lee has been working for him the whole time. Stan Lee steals the gems. That'd be perfect.
Yeah.
But we'll see what
I
happens.
have no clue how they're gonna beat him, though. They can barely take on people with 1 gem.
They couldn't even take on, what's his name?
Guardians couldn't take on Ronan.
Yeah,
But
without
the
a gem.
Guardians are worse than the Avengers,
True.
power-wise,
But
clearly.
still, without a gem, he couldn't do it. Even though Drax in the comics punches straight through, like, Thanos' heart. When this couldn't even take down Ronan without an Infinity Gem.
And then Hulk, I think that it may be, I don't know, Hulk versus him or something. They might just have it to where you see the struggle and somehow I'm trying to think, like, he
How
might
does-
lose the Infinity Gauntlet. That's the only way they could beat him.
I guess.
Because in the comics, the only reason why they beat him is because he shuts off all but one of the gems because he wants to make the fight more interesting.
Maybe he'll do that in this. Maybe they'll introduce the Beyonders and then Secret Wars will happen. And like mid through it, Secret Wars will just burst open. Maybe Ultron Protocol comes back.
Well, I think that'd be a cool way to develop Civil War.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know how Marvel's
I
going to do
just
all
can't
it.
see the transition from Civil War to Infinity Wars. Is they're gonna not have very many heroes left over to use.
No, because they're all just going to come straight back. It'll be like Iron Man 3. You thought, well, Iron Man's done with because he destroyed all the suits. Nope, he's back.
Yeah, they didn't even explain that one.
Yeah, they didn't.
But I guess some things it's better not to explain.
Iron Man 3, nope. Wish they would have done that with Iron Man 2. Like, Iron Man 2, no, that never happened. But sadly it did.
Yeah, well, it could have been worse. Could have been much worse. Age of Ultron wasn't too bad. Iron Man
No.
2 is their worst movie by far.
Yeah, it was the Green Lantern of Marvel movies.
But they've only had one so far. The rest have been about the same.
Pretty much,
That's the
yeah.
sad thing. They've been the same.
Yeah. Well, like, yeah.
I want to know how they're going to do it, though, because Winter Soldier took a completely different style than the other movies.
Yeah, it was much different tone.
So throwing in these heroes, it's going to seem kind of weird with them in it, too.
Yeah, because if they do, it is the Russo brothers who are doing it. So I hope they keep the same tone as Winter Soldier.
Especially with the way the fight scenes were in Winter Soldier. How are they
were
gonna?
awesome.
They can't carry those out with Iron Man and people like that, though.
They could. They just change it up a bit. They could still do the Bourne style fights. I love the Bourne style fights. They're so good.
I think Marvel has to end after Infinity War. They're not gonna have anything left to use unless people want to continue to watch Scarlet Witch and.
They could still do it. They'll just. That's the thing. They'll have a lot of people there at the end of their contracts that don't care about coming back, but they can get a ton of new people. So Marvel's still going to keep going after that. DC will just be hitting its prime and everything.
No, I don't think they're gonna be able to keep going and keep audiences coming, because why does everybody come to see the movies? Well, the Avengers ones, it's mainly because of Tony Stark and all the team up.
Yeah, but they could just redo that. They could make not reboot, but they could literally just take another character. Because you look at Guardians, it was like a talking tree and talking raccoon. Everyone absolutely loved it, and that's brand new. So they could do the same thing, just bring in another character, get someone that's good with making those types of movies, and they got it done.
But they won't have an Avengers anymore, so what are they gonna do?
It'll be the new Avengers. It'll be like what's it called? The Avengers of Volume 1. Which is sort of like what they just did in that it was the Avengers from the MCU pretty much. It was all those characters, and then Captain America and Iron Man are like, hey, we need to expand because we're not gonna make it like this, and so they do expand, and they get a ton of other Avengers, and that's what happens. That's literally what happens. They just get a ton of Avengers. They have their version of Superman on the team. They have a ton.
I
of
see
people.
it to the point where they eventually just stop and reboot, because Disney and Marvel, they love to reboot and restart.
Well, I don't think they're gonna reboot because of the fact that they are just getting Spider-Man. And so Spider-Man will be good well into like 2020.
I think, yeah, they can carry Spider-Man with the Avengers, but they need somebody else to help bring in audiences.
Thor. Chris Hemsworth is like the one guy at Marvel that is happy with his contract.
But is he gonna carry out past the Infinity Wars? Because that's still a long time.
If Marvel wants him back, he will. He loves being with Marvel. One of like the few people that does. Chris Evans wants out. Robert Downey Jr. sort of does, but if you throw more money at his face, he'll be fine with coming back. Then I don't know about Scarlett Johansson. I think she's fine with it. I know Jeremy Renner's happy with it.
So let's see. We'll have Spider-Man, Thor, Black Widow, Iron Man.
Possibly Iron Man.
Possibly Iron Man, so let's negate him. Spider-Man,
Hawkeye.
Black Widow, Hawkeye, Thor. So they'll still have like 3 members of the originals.
Plus
That's
you
not
got like
too bad.
the new Avengers and everything. And what other characters they
What
introduce them to.
storylines are they gonna use though after that?
You gotta tell them they could do Secret Wars if they wanted to. They could just look at Jonathan Hickman's Avengers, which is what's currently going on at Marvel, which they might because that's what's it called? Those are ones that don't really use characters that are outside of Disney, except for like Wolverine and stuff. They're mainly characters that are in the MCU because, as we know, Disney absolutely hates Fox with everything. That's why like the Fantastic Four aren't gonna have a book anymore because they absolutely hate Fox.
Yeah, that was so nice of them. That's gonna hurt the movie sales,
It's
alright.
so stupid. It's the opposite. It's always people see the movie and then go read the comic. It's not like someone just picked up the current run of Fantastic Four. It's like, okay, I need to go see the movie now. No one does that.
Everyone does that. So, like, what universe have you been living in?
Apparently not the right one.
In Disney's universe.
Like, how stupid is that? Who, like, picked up the current run of Fantastic Four? Like, you know what? If it weren't for this book, I would not be seeing Fantastic Four.
That just makes Disney look like jerks, though.
Disney's so stupid. Well, in that sense, every other sense, they've been pretty smart, making so much money.
Yeah, what is it? Don't fix it if it's not broken.
Yeah, Marvel's taking that to heart. Hopefully, we get a good Star Wars Marvel crossover in the future. That'd be cool.
So what do you think's gonna happen with Doctor Strange, Miss Marvel, the Inhumans? Because they're developing all of them, but they're developing them too late for Civil War. Do you think they'll introduce them in Civil War and then have them have solo movies, or do you think they're gonna?
I think they're gonna introduce them in their solo movies. Doctor Strange definitely not. Miss Marvel possibly, but probably not because you gotta think they're taking down like all their big hitters. Yeah. And Miss Marvel's one of the bigger hitters. She's like on Iron Man's level, I guess. Maybe like a little bit above power-wise. But I don't think Miss Marvel's like the only one that I could see being introduced in Civil War. Everyone else, I don't think so. Problem is, like, all the Netflix people are perfect to introduce in Civil War. Well, not introduce, but just throw them into the movies finally. Yeah. They'd be perfect for it because they have secret identities, and that's what you need. But instead, it's going to be like, who do you answer to? At least that's what it seems like.
Yeah.
But that's just...
But if they threw in the other characters as well, they could still do the secret identity thing.
What other characters?
Doctor Strange.
Oh, yeah.
Miss Marvel, or... That is what they're calling her, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope they go with, like, pre-Marvel now Miss Marvel, not the stupid Mohawk Miss Marvel. The stupid, like, red and blue costume.
What do you have against Mohawks, then?
She looks so stupid. She's got this weird hairstyle and her costume sucks. I prefer the old, like, black costume with the yellow S and everything. Does a lot better. I much prefer her old costume. Her new one sucks. But we'll see. Carol.
Do you think they'll have a villain in Civil War, though? Or do you think it's just going to be
Iron
them?
Man. That's the thing. I hope they establish that, like, you choose a side. Who do you think's right and who do you think's wrong? Because in the comic, it was straight up, Iron Man is bad, Captain America's good. There was no, like, decide, even though the whole time it was like, oh, who's good or who's bad.
When I read it, it was a lot more from the Iron Man side. And
well, yeah, you read
could still clearly tell that it was Iron Man was the villain because... They made his choices seem very sketchy, but then they didn't introduce Captain America's side of the story until later in the story, so you didn't actually know.
Yeah, well, at least Frontline did it better, but the main story, it was clearly Captain America's the good guy.
Yeah.
And Iron Man's the bad guy. There was no, like, deciding, like, maybe Iron Man's right. It's like, no, Iron Man's not right. Captain America is America and all that. But you could... he's Captain America. How are you going to go against him? And I hope they pull that better off in the movie. We'll see.
I just don't see how they're going to do the split sides. Because Bruce Banner, I have no idea why he would, follow Iron Man. Or
well, he's not. He's going to be
not going to be in it.
Okay.
But
well, here, let me see if I can search
because it's like all the people that would follow Iron Man, they're not going to be in the movie, it seems like.
Keep talking. I'm going to search up who is confirmed for Civil War.
Okay, well, just the development is the two sides. They're not going to have enough people on one side or the other because otherwise it'll be kind of stupid. Why would... Well, I guess Black Widow will be on Captain America's side. It just feels like everyone's on Captain America's side.
Yeah, let's...
Let me think about it this way. Who would be on the Iron Man side? Hawkeye might be.
Well, no, because Hawkeye Well, I won't real reveal any spoilers for Ultron. Dang it! We'll get into that later.
That's what I just
You
said.
know why, though. That's why I believe Captain America, he'd be on Captain America's side.
No, I seriously think he would be on Iron Man's side.
Well, there's something wrong with it. Oh, yeah, Baron Zemo was confirmed for Civil War, so they got a villain. Baron Zemo's awesome. But it makes no sense. There's no need for a villain. Like, is it going to be they're conflicting, and then Baron Zemo's like, now's my time to take over America. And so he goes.
And gets killed in the middle of a civil war. Yeah, like he ends up in the middle of the two sides. Crap.
Yeah. Like, instead of just attacking them when they're at their weakest, he just ends up in the middle. I didn't plan for this. I'd love to see Baron Zemo come in.
That would be cool, though, seeing the two sides fighting each other, but they've also got to take on him and try to stop him.
There's no need for that. I don't like that because Civil War's already too, like, not enough time as it is.
What will Captain America be going underground from, though? A couple of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents.
Yeah. Oh, no, we need to hide. Because all the big hitters, like, are gone out of Civil War because they haven't
Captain
been confirmed
America
yet.
could probably just stand there in the middle of the street and wait for them to show up.
Civil War could be done in like 2 seconds. Captain America just take everyone out with his team. That wouldn't be so. But I'm still interested to see how Baron Zemo is implemented because I love Baron Zemo. He's an awesome Captain America villain. But the problem is, there's already like not enough time for the original Civil War conflict because
They
there's
just
only
have
one
to
movie.
have him help drive the conflict.
What, you think he's gonna be like whispering in each one's ear, like Tony called you a dork?
No, but he might set up events to help lead to Civil War. They could use him that way.
Oh, like he's
superhero-
sort of the opening villain.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I could see that. I really hope they don't, because Baron Zemo is a really good.
They could
Captain
have
America.
one of the heroes like completely murder him or something, and then that's a big issue, and that's what causes who answers to who.
Yeah, I guess.
Because they need, like I've been saying, another disaster. Age of Ultron isn't enough.
I just want to talk about Ultron so much, but we'll still wait like a couple more minutes till we get into Ultron.
Okay.
I know what I'm talking about too. Infinity War. Okay, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I think, is going to be Infinity War explained. I think it's just going to be like, here's all the galactic stuff that's coming into Infinity War that you're not going to understand. We'll explain it here.
They also need to have an encounter with Thanos, though. That's the only way that Thanos could get the gem from them and it be explained rationally.
Isn't the gym with like the Nova Corps now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's going to like attack the Nova Corps. That'd be so cool.
And then that's how they could introduce Thanos as a villain without the gems, so they could make it seem like they don't just bring him in with all the gems. What's special about him? Show him before the gems and then after the gems, before and after.
Before the gems, after gems. More gauntlet, less gauntlet.
But they could start him in like the first Infinity War with 1 or 2 of the gems, and then have him get the others, and
That
then
would be
in
cool.
the second Infinity War with all of them, but all the heroes are teaming up against him.
Yeah, and I'm glad the Russo brothers are directing it, because Joss Whedon can't direct anything dark, at least when it comes to Marvel movies. I don't know about outside
You could
Marvel
do
movies.
a couple of seconds worth of dark.
Like, because Infinity War, it can't be the same tone as the other ones. Because, you know, people die.
Everyone dies.
Yeah.
Except for 2 people.
So it wouldn't work out. But with Joss Whedon,
I wonder if they'll introduce Adam Warlock, though.
I think they will.
But what are they going to introduce him in? Guardians 2? They could actually have him
They could
join up
easily-
with Guardians in number 2.
Yeah. I think that, yeah, that would actually work out real well.
And then that could be their encounters with Thanos, and that's how they introduce Thanos, Adam Warlock, and the Infinity Gems. They explain everything. They cover their butts. They move into Infinity 1. Adam Warlock's trying to unite the heroes while Thanos is getting all the gems.
That could work out. I'm still interested to see how they stop Thanos, because I don't know how they're going to do that.
Oh, what happens in the comics is their plan is to have Silver Surfer, him just bolt like at light speed and steal it off of Thanos'
What do you think
hand
they'll
as
replace
he's
Silver
distracted.
Surfer with?
No one can do what Silver Surfer they had planned for. But Adam Warlock and Doctor Strange were definitely 2 big characters because they were the last 2 living.
So I don't. It's gonna be interesting to see. I still don't know how they're gonna take him down.
Oh, they can't take 1 Infinity Gem, so how are they going to take on Thanks.
Maybe he'll just use the power one like in the comics.
So he only uses the power gem?
Maybe.
He just needs to touch the planet, though, and everything dies. It blows up. They're done.
True.
It's not a fight.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't want to do that, though.
I hated how they developed the power gem. Touch the planet, and it blows up.
Like, if it touches anything, it blows up.
They should have made it more like in the comics where it just gives you infinite amounts of power.
No, it's too simple. As you know, Marvel doesn't want to follow the comics.
Follow the comics. Yeah, that would ruin their cinematic universe.
Yeah, definitely. But okay, we're going to get into Age of Ultron spoilers now. So leave now if you've not seen Age of Ultron. Spoiler alert, it's the final one. Let's get into it. So, the movie starts off with the Avengers murdering a ton of Hydra agents. Which, that's the problem.
No, the rest of the Avengers don't. Only Hulk murders people.
You saw Captain America throw a guy into a tree like he tumbled.
They said only Hulk murdered people. He was the only one conscious about it.
No, like, that was the only one that they talked about. Like,
yeah.
That's the thing, because, you know, you were talking about Civil War, maybe they murdered Baron Zemo. That wouldn't work. You know how many people they killed? I'm not saying it was unjust killing.
But if they murdered them in public, in front of everyone...
Oh, I guess.
You get the public against them. That's what I'm saying. But anyways, back to Age of Ultron.
Yeah, because it was weird, because, like, Captain America and everyone was, like, killing
they
all these people.
They start off with this huge murder scene.
And then, like, Iron Man moves in and just injures everyone inside the castle. It's like, you were just killing everyone outside. Well, at least your buddies were. I don't think Iron Man ever did. Yeah. Everyone else was. Maybe Iron Man's like the Batman.
And then they introduced Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch there.
With their fake country and their weird accents.
Yeah, so they're fighting for the scepter, which they lost again.
Yeah.
Wasn't too Loki this time, at least.
Yeah. The opening action scene was awesome, though. It did really well. Joss Whedon's really learned. Like, well, he knew in Avengers 1 how to, like, do on-rails action scenes. It's so cool. It looks really good.
Then I loved how they developed, what was it, Hulk's tone in that?
Yeah, that's what I want to get into now. Hulk was one of my favorite characters in the movie. He felt a little out of place because he was so much darker than everyone else in the movie. Like, everyone else in the movie was cracking jokes. It was normal, Joss Whedon, you know, that type of tone stuff. But then you have Hulk over here who's battling with the fact that he turns into a monster that kills people and he can't control it. It was like, whoa, because he'd be like freaking whimpering in a corner while the rest of the Avengers are cracking jokes. It's like, I like that they did that, but it felt a little out of place.
It definitely was a good thing to do, though, because if they had made Hulk all humorous, it wouldn't have fit him as well.
Like in the first, it was weird because the first one, you know, he could control Hulk and everything. He's like, I'm always angry, and he was fine. But in this one, no.
Well, I guess apparently he still isn't in control. He can just turn into Hulk whenever he wants. I kind of did like the clash between him and Black Widow because she offered a balancing factor that helped develop his darker tone and it kind of balanced it off so it didn't get too dark.
Yeah. Then that was interesting to see her being like the Betty of this movie, being able to calm down the lullaby. Then Hawkeye finally got justice. Hawkeye was awesome.
He was probably one of the best characters in that movie, either him or Captain America, but probably him.
Yeah, I loved Hawkeye because Hawkeye's one of my favorite characters in the comics, and he was terrible in Avengers 1, but they nailed him here. And my problem is, Joss Whedon tries to make like every character Hawkeye, because Hawkeye's the one who's cracking jokes and everything in the comics, but instead Joss Whedon's like, we'll have everyone do that.
Well, I'm glad they developed Iron Man that way, but then they developed everyone else that way, and it doesn't feel like they have diverse personalities. They don't clash. They all just kind of fit in right with each other.
Yeah, I wish they would have kept Iron Man like Iron Man 1, because Iron Man 1 was more like Iron Man in the comics, because Iron Man in the comics is not like Hawkeye, who's constantly cracking jokes. Well, he's more like that now, because they're trying to make it more like the MCU. But before, he wasn't always like that.
They made it where Iron Man couldn't deal with serious situations.
No, because in Iron Man 1, when he's fighting Obadiah, Ironmonger, he, like, makes 2 jokes. And that's it. The entire time, he's just fighting for his life. And so it's actually danger. But instead, in Avengers and everything, it's just constantly, like, there's no sense of danger. I wish they would have improved upon that. The tone was the exact same, which I thought was going to be different, because the trailer was much darker than Avengers 1. Which... I don't know why I thought it would be different.
Well, after the assault on the castle, they go into a party scene which is what everyone's heard about, the picking up Thor's hammer. And they introduce Ultron. They introduce him amazingly.
Ultron was awesome.
He was creepy. He was that menacing villain. And then the next scene you see him, he's cracking jokes. He's a comedian up on stage.
Okay, I get the fact that he's going to have Tony Stark's personality, but you didn't even have to do that. They just did it because they wanted to. They could have been like, hey, Ultron's an AI, so he doesn't have Iron Man's personality. Look at
Iron Man.
Jarvis. Jarvis doesn't have Iron Man's personality.
Iron Man talked to him for 3 seconds. Like, he equally talked to each of them.
And he's had Jarvis like forever and worked on him so many times, but he doesn't have Iron Man's personality. But Ultron, who he had for like 3 seconds, is now all of a sudden the exact same.
Well, that's also
Tony
the thing.
Stark.
He wasn't even there when Ultron was created, so I have no clue why they would have given him his personality.
Well, like, because apparently him and Bruce Banner were working on Ultron prior, but they didn't like have anything to.
But then he should also have Bruce Banner's personality.
Yeah. But it was just, I was so mad at how Ultron was done. Because at first he was awesome when he first was introduced. It's like, I had strings and everything. It was
especially
awesome.
The battle with Jarvis. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, and he just murders Jarvis. That was so cool. And then after that, he's just making jokes. And it wasn't.
They ruined his character. And then they brought him back towards the end.
Yeah, towards the end, that final talk with Vision was awesome. That was a really good.
That was probably the best dialogue in the movie.
Yeah, it was really good. No, I'd say Hawkeye's speech to Black Widow was. I mean, not Black Widow. Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
That speech was really good. Where it's like, we're on a floating island, I've got a bow and arrow, none of this makes sense, but you step straight out that door, and you're an Avenger. That was awesome.
Like, yeah, I agree. That definitely is a pretty good speech. I don't know, Ultron's final one was good too, though. But they were 2 different tones.
Yeah. Ultron. Another thing about Ultron was his CGI at parts did not look good.
They Anne was saying, they made him too shiny. He looked like he was always in perfect condition. He just came out of the shop. He's had his nails polished.
He looked like the CGI was not good, especially that one part when Thor's like, "What? Is that all you've got?" And he's flying up there. That looked terrible.
Yeah. But
because in the trailer I was like, that looks terrible, but it's just a trailer. Maybe it'll look better in the movie. No, it still looked bad in the movie. Like the Ultron bots look good. Ultron
because the Ultron bots had wear and tear. Ultron always.
I guess that's what made the CGI look bad. Like sometimes Ultron looked fine, but other times he did not look good.
I don't know. I felt like Anne was saying they made him seem unrealistic because he never got damage on him. He always looked perfect.
True. When he did get damaged, he was still like just as clean. Just missing some parts. Ultron, I liked Loki much better than Ultron.
Loki was Ultron.
Pretty much.
They both relied on a giant army to get what they needed done. They both did nothing themselves.
Hey, not true. He killed Quicksilver, which I called.
Yeah.
I called it. So the one twist in the movie, I called it because everyone knew it.
Unless Marvel decides to bring Quicksilver back because no, he has fast regeneration because he's fast. Which I could see something like that happening.
I could too.
So it's completely possible Ultron really did do that.
It's funny.
All he did was press a button.
Yeah, true.
Actually, no, that was one of his bots.
Oh yeah, his bot. Well, remember he's controlling the bot, so it's him, sort of. Not really.
No, it's not. Ultron was the one with the shiny suit.
The problem was like everyone knew it was either gonna be Quicksilver or Scarlet Witch who was gonna die.
Yeah.
Because I knew someone was gonna die because Joss Whedon was mad with the fact that they brought back Coulson when he killed him in Avengers, so I knew someone was gonna die in this until Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. decided to bring Quicksilver back.
Coulson is dead for good.
You just can't catch a break.
No, but I was disappointed Coulson wasn't in the movie at all. They should have had him at least with Nick Fury when he comes in to save the day.
Coulson should be the new director. Nick Fury, I felt, was just added on just to add him on.
He was a cheerleader, like
you were saying. Yeah, like that one moment where there was actually some despair in the movie when Scarlett Johansson's talking to... He
puts an end to it after a minute.
Black Widow and Captain America are talking. They're like, maybe we won't make it off this rock. And then you see the helicarrier come up and he's like, no, you won't. You'll be fine. It was like...
Let's start getting these people on board. We still have another hour before the rock gets dropped.
I don't think Marvel gets the fact that you can have a darker tone and still make it a fun movie. Like, look at Iron Man 1. I just want Iron Man 1's tone back. It was a fun movie. It had a darker tone. It had a sense of danger.
I wish each of the movies carried their different tones, though. Like, each character carried their tones from their movies into the Avengers. That would work.
Yeah, like, because Iron Man 1 had, to me, the only menacing villain throughout all the Marvel movies, because Ironmonger was so, like, menacing and scary. He was awesome. Like, when he goes in to the leader of the 10 Rings and talks to him and then brings out that sound device and, like, temporary paralysis to that dude and just kills him.
I
that
would
was
say
awesome.
Ronan was a menacing villain, but
Ronan was terrible.
He was in it for like 2 seconds, and he just hits a couple of people, and then he tries placing something on a planet. He could have been super menacing
If
they had him
a lot of
in
other
an actual
villains.
fight.
What about the dance fight? That doesn't count.
That wasn't a fight. It was a dance-off.
Yeah, that shows you how menacing the Marvel villains are.
Vision, he was amazing the entire time.
He was. Yeah, Vision was pretty cool.
You said he was. You saw the movie too.
I was a little out of it. Vision was cool, yeah. Like, that was probably my favorite scene in the entire movie was when Vision first shows up, and they're, like, all fighting, and Vision shows up, and they have that whole talk. Yeah. Then it was hilarious when he was able to pick up the hammer, and everyone was like, what the...
That fight between them gave you the perfect taste of Civil War. Like,
yeah.
They each had each other at the point where they could do something, but they're right before they engage in that final battle. And then Tony Stark shoots Captain America, and you're thinking this is going to get there, but then Thor breaks it up.
Yeah, when that happened, I was like, what's the point of Civil War? I'm going to watch him fight now. But then I was like, oh, okay.
That was a great tease, though, because then you're waiting for Civil War. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, Civil War. I can't wait to see them fight Iron Man and Captain America. That's going to be so cool.
And I just wonder if they're going to have them do a solo fight, or if it's going to be everybody fighting everybody.
I don't know. Like, I think they'll have their own fight where it's just them two. That would be cool. But how they arrange that, I don't know. Yeah. Or they could just have them two fight and then everyone else surround them and fight.
Yeah, but it was back to Age of Ultron. Vision, we were talking about how he's awesome. I like how he just takes on, like, Thor's cape and stuff. Thor's just staring at him,
he
like,
just looks
what
at
are
him.
you doing?
Yeah, I'm the only one on this team with a cape. Not anymore. Vision was really cool. I love the fact that Paul Bettany, who had not played anything Avengers but, Jarvis, just jumped in, was automatically on their level. He did really good acting-wise.
Yeah, he did.
I love Vision. He was so good. A lot of people are saying they're like Vision's their new favorite Avenger.
He wasn't in it long enough to be a new favorite. He just had some awesome scenes.
Yeah, he's really cool though. And the final plan, I got the whole point of extinction by meteors that killed the dinosaurs and all that stuff. And so he was trying to make a giant meteor to kill everyone. But it just looked stupid. I'm going to lift the city up. At first, what I thought was going to happen was I thought it was going to be Secret Wars. I thought he was going to get like a couple inches off the ground, drop it, and then like they were going to make him drop it, and then Hulk was going to hold it, like Secret Wars. I was like, that'd be... Well, my dog just sneezed. Anyway, I just sneezed again.
Bless you, Abby.
Anyways, that would have been cool. That's what I thought might happen. Like a throwback to Secret Wars.
See, I thought they were going to do something like that where Hulk and Thor and all of them were trying to hold it up or whatever.
Yeah.
But then it turns out, nope, they just evaporate the asteroid.
My problem was, like, it seemed like a plan a 2-year-old could come up with. Like, I'm going to take something heavy and drop it on the Earth.
And then the plan that they come up with to stop it is so much more complicated.
You mean get every single person off of there? It was way too squeaky clean. Like, it didn't even seem even close to anything like real world. How they're able to get every single person off.
When has Avengers ever seemed real world?
Like, they don't necessarily have to, but it would have been nice for at least one person to die or something to show there are consequences. Yeah, well, it's like they didn't even do Quicksilver's death very good. Like,
it was pathetic.
Days of Future Past Quicksilver would have kicked the crap out of this Quicksilver. Because this Quicksilver had a problem with bullets. Days of Future Past Quicksilver just moved them all out of the way.
Yeah.
But Quicksilver was done better than I thought he was going to be, but he still was not even close to Days of Future Past Quicksilver. That's why they killed him. They knew they couldn't even come close to that. They're like, we're just not even going to try. We'll just have him be good in it, and then we'll kill him off.
Yeah, which he was good throughout it. I would have liked to see that as the start of the sides for Civil War, though. Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver on Captain America as well.
Well,
Iron
Quicksilver's
Man.
dead.
I'm saying I would have liked to see it.
Yeah, unless...
And then Iron Man with Bruce Banner and Hawkeye.
Well, Bruce Banner's in Fiji.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying those would have been cool sides to start the development.
Well, we saw that Hawkeye is a hero, and the way Hawkeye is, he would not go on Iron Man's side.
Well, he was on Iron Man's side, though, during
No,
that
because
part.
he was out of it. He just saw Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, so he shot, remember? He wasn't in that room.
That's true. That's
he just
true.
attacked because he was like, oh, it's the people that were trying to kill us earlier. I'm going to fight them. And so...
Which I guess for all he knew is that that's the reason a fight was going on up there.
I love the banter between Quicksilver and Hawkeye. So you didn't see that coming. that was really good. And again, Ultron just was so disappointing because all the reviewers were like, he's an amazing villain. Marvel finally stepped it up. I was like, okay. And then when he first appeared, he was awesome. And the rest, no.
He didn't have that menacing appearance. It's like he was a child with a temper tantrum.
Yeah. Which they're sort of making Ultron now in the comics because the whole thing, it's like, Hank Pym was my father, but he's still more menacing than this guy. Like, in the Age of Ultron comic, which was super weird, he ends up killing everyone, but then Wolverine goes back in time and kills Hank Pym, and through that, a whole new world is made, and it's weird because, like, all the future's weird with Hank Pym being dead. So then Wolverine goes back in time and stops his old self from killing Hank Pym.
So what does Hank Pym do that changes the world other than create an Ultron?
I don't know. Apparently a lot. Because by killing him, it was weird. Because apparently there's like security tapes of him killing him, so everyone like knew. I think that's what happened.
So what? Wolverine's wanted again. It's not a big deal.
It's been a little while since I've read it.
But yeah,
it was weird.
That has nothing to do with the movie.
Yeah, the movie is nothing like that. It wasn't even anything like Rage of Ultron. The whole point of Rage of Ultron was so that way you could have something that was somewhat connected to Age of Ultron, the movie. I don't even know why they chose Age of Ultron.
When they mentioned he has rage, it's like
yeah,
not a reference to the comics or anything.
Nope, Rage of Ultron. But Ultron, he's just so disappointing.
I thought it was hilarious how they're doing an analysis on dead Jarvis.
Yeah.
Like they could tell that he had rage because he murdered this computer program.
Like so much rage. And
have they analyzed other murdered computers?
Maybe, I don't know. Like, iRobot with Vicky and everything. But, like, this felt just a rehash of Avengers 1. That was my problem. It felt way too much like Avengers 1.
I felt like it was that, but then the action, they definitely stepped up the game on that.
Yeah. Which is another thing.
They had better character development.
Yeah.
But the story, it didn't
It was like the same as Avengers 1. Avengers 1's story wasn't good either. Like,
it's like rely on an army to do your work. Except the only difference was, instead of letting an army in, he was trying to drop something on people.
Because he already had his army. There was like, people complain about Man of Steel having too much action, not enough time to breathe. This had at least twice the amount of action as Man of Steel. At least it felt like it. And, like, no one's complaining about that. Granted, this isn't getting as high as ratings as Avengers 1 did, but still got, like, a certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. It's, like, a 70, I think. I don't know why people are accepting of this action, but not Man of Steel's.
Because
it's Marvel, and everyone loves Marvel.
It's the parents. They're like, oh no, it's so dark in Man of Steel. Somebody dies. Our children can't watch this. This action's horrible.
It's another thing. Avengers 1, no one died. At least you'd think so. But then in Daredevil, there's a newspaper clipping. It shows hundreds die in New York attack. You would not have known that from Avengers 1. It looked like everyone was fine.
Every person that was around them, they saved. They can't save everyone. They're not around everyone.
It looks like everyone
and
was
they're not
fine.
going to show the camera where
saved
they're not.
everyone in, like, Age of Ultron. When Captain America was holding
That's the sad thing. It's a city filled with millions and only hundreds die. Those villains suck.
They did. Like, when Captain America was holding that car off the bridge and it dropped, I was like, oh my gosh, and then Thor came and saved him. I was like, well...
Yeah,
yep.
It would have been awesome to see that fall, then Captain America go into rage mode and, like, just start murdering the Ultron bots.
Yeah, I'm not saying, like, you don't have to make this dark, depressing or anything. Just have there be consequences. Like, there are consequences,
but Disney
not in
is
these
known
movies.
for their happy endings.
Just look at Iron Man 1 and Incredible Hulk. Those tones were great. But this, it's still just like... Or Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier had a better tone, just like no twist
I'm
at
glad
all.
they added in more than the Avengers, but I wish they hadn't just added in War Machine.
Yeah.
He was a bit out of place, too.
Well, yeah. I would have preferred Falcon. Like, I like Falcon better than War Machine. But it still worked out alright. But
yeah, this will be a story to tell about.
yeah, it's like,
I love the carried out jokes that they have throughout the movie.
Yeah, it's like, gosh darn it, guys, don't use that type of language. It's like, I said that once.
Yeah.
That was
It just
hilarious.
slipped out.
Yeah, the comedy, as always, was great. Joss Whedon, like, nails that.
Yeah. He just needs less of it.
That's the problem. I'm glad the Russo brothers are directing the next one. Could you imagine if Joss Whedon directed Infinity War? No one would die ever.
I liked when they had Scarlet Witch. Her power to make people see their worst fears overall
Scarecrow?
was pretty stupid.
Yeah, like, that was one of the parts I didn't like about the movie, was
Because
it felt a
I
little
didn't
bit
see
too
how
many...
dancing was everybody's worst fear.
Yeah, that's what we were literally talking about when we came straight out of theater. Every single person's fear involved dancing. Like, what was it? Not Scarlet Witch. Black Widow was the whole ballerina thing, which, you know, is connected to her origin. And then Thor, there was dancing behind him, Idris Elba, when Idris Elba was talking to him. And Captain America, there was dancing there
Only
with Peggy
person
Carter.
who didn't have dancing was Tony Stark, but that was at a separate part.
Yeah.
Which his vision was actually really cool.
I was like, Infinity War! It looked just like the Infinity Gauntlet.
It looks like everybody's murdered except for him, and he's still like barely alive or whatever. And then you see them on the asteroid looking down on Earth, and you're just thinking Thanos did this.
Yeah,
and
that's what I was thinking. It was so cool. I loved it, but that did not carry out the rest of the movie, anything like that, sadly. The thing was, like, the thing that they really repeated throughout this from Avengers 1 was Avengers 1 was like, okay, they're joined together, but they can't work together as a team because they're new. But then Coulson dies, it's like, okay, we're together as a team now because Coulson died. And this, it's like, okay, they're working as a well-functioning team. Well, then it turns out Tony Stark created Ultron, so now they hate him and everyone's, like, all dismantled again. But then Vision comes in and they join back together as a team. It's like, that's literally repeating Avengers 1.
yeah, they are working together, then they're torn apart because they lose a battle. I guess they've never lost a battle.
Yeah, I guess not.
And then,
It was just... The story was, again, like, Avengers 1, I loved Avengers 1, but not because of the story. Like, the characters were great and the fights were awesome.
the story was literally still the Tesseract open a portal.
Like, I feel like Joss Whedon went in front of the Disney guys, which I imagine are set up like the Jedi Council, and just went to talk to them. It was like, hey, imagine this. Loki mind controls a bunch of people, goes to open a portal during this. The Avengers aren't working together. Then a guy dies, and now they work together. And then aliens come in, and then all the aliens die Phantom Menace style. And that's the end of the movie.
And we make billions.
And Marvel was just like, brilliant. The plot was not good at all for that movie. Well, I mean, it wasn't really for Age of Ultron, but that's the thing, the characters are so good. That's why it's like, imagine if there was a good story for it, how amazing Avengers 1 would be. Because it's already great without a good story.
Both of those movies would have topped any other if they had a good story. Character development-wise, they did amazing, but that just didn't hold story-wise.
Oh yeah, the plot was bad.
If they did as good as they did on character development for a story, that would have just made the movie.
It's where Ultron's plot was. Tony Stark created Ultron, and then Ultron tries to drop a big piece of rock on the
Which
planet.
I understand the fact that he wants to annihilate humans to make
Yeah.
peace for the world. That makes perfect sense. It's just the way he goes about it doesn't make sense.
Like,
Why doesn't he just, like, take over nuclear missiles? If Jarvis is protecting the U.S.'s, use Russia's. They have more anyways.
Maybe, well, he said, like, he wanted humans to evolve. Maybe he can't evolve from nuclear missiles.
Yeah, but he was going to crush them with an asteroid that would lead to their extinction.
But I
He said either they evolve fast enough or they die.
Yeah.
And he didn't give them much time. He gave them, like, a week.
Better evolve
Doesn't
faster.
evolution take billions and billions of years?
Apparently, but...
Yeah, so they have a week. He could have just used missiles and ended it.
yeah. Like, I was just so...
That's the other thing about Ultron is he was connected to the internet, but he never thought of downloading himself to a server or something and staying on there so that if he ever did lose connection...
Yeah, like, you think that's probably where he is at the end of the movie, even though it seems like, oh, well, Vision destroyed the last Ultron. He had to have moved somewhere else.
I almost feel like a Vision might have not destroyed him, because he said he didn't want to destroy him, and he didn't exactly need to destroy him there.
True. Well, remember, he lunged at him, so he gave him a reason.
But I don't know, though, because... What was it? Was that the soul or mind gem?
It was the mind gem.
Oh, okay, because
Sure.
I remember in the comics, the soul gem, that can, like, put people inside of it. So I don't know if he had done that with Ultron or something.
Yeah, like, also, there was no Ultron fight that was, like, no big Ultron fight. Every time they fought Ultron, they had a plan, so there was no sense of danger.
I don't know, I like the Captain America versus Ultron one.
That was probably the best Ultron fight. That was cool. But the rest of them, like, when Iron Man fights him, when they're all fighting inside the ship with Claw and everything... It was just like, he just completely tears apart Ultron. Then when Ultron takes Thor and he's beating on Thor, and Thor's like, oh, I'm running out of things to say. Oh, Vision comes. Like, they had a plan to beat him there, too. They constantly had a plan, and there was never any sense of danger for Ultron.
I could have seen them playing catch with the hammer and just, like, throwing it through
Ultron. Yeah, just back and forth.
Creating more holes in it.
That's just disappointing. So, what are your overall thoughts on Age of Ultron?
It was good, not great, definitely worth seeing.
Yeah.
Don't come in with high expectations, you'll enjoy it more.
That's my problem.
There's plenty of comedy if you want to laugh.
Yeah.
The one thing that it feels it was lacking is probably some things felt out of place.
Yeah, like Hulk.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, Hulk was still really good. It just
And Ultron being a super genius, but not being able to come up more than... What did he even need the vibranium for dropping it?
he needed it for his body, but apparently his body didn't do nothing. Like, he just got beat up.
It was broken by 3 lasers. I just realized that.
Yeah, remember? Yeah, I forgot. Even though Captain America has been, like, pounded on by Thor's hammer. Did he use vibranium for, what's it called, Vision's body, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right.
He used it for that and for his own body. So... it just broke. That's what
or wait, did he use it on his own body?
Well, I mean, he had a ton of it. It wasn't all used on Vision.
That's what I was wondering, what he needed all that vibranium for.
Yeah, because he stole all of it, and there's no point in having,
Okay, anyway, so beyond a few plot gaps.
Yeah, my overall thoughts are, again, I've said on Twitter as soon as I can on the movie, good, not great. I'd say it's on par with Avengers. I probably like Avengers 1 a little bit better.
I think I like this one a little better.
Yeah, like, they're both really good, but anyways, I'd say it's good. Definitely worth seeing, because, it's better than anything else I've seen this year.
That's not saying much.
Hey, it was still good. Iron Man 1's definitely still my favorite Marvel movie, though. I liked Winter Soldier better than this, too.
I think Age of Ultron's mine.
But yeah, overall, it'll make you laugh. The fight scenes are awesome. Just, there's no, again, same as, last Avengers, there's no plot twists, and there's no sense of danger.
Yeah, which is every Marvel movie. So if you enjoy the others, you'll enjoy this.
True, but at least, Iron Man 1, Winter Soldier, and Incredible Hulk had more of a sense of danger.
You named 3 movies out of 15.
But those are some.
If you enjoy most Marvel movies, you'll enjoy this.
True. Even if you don't, you might enjoy it. No. Not if you hated Avengers. But anyways, guys, end the podcast now. You find me on Twitter at @the_RCBG, and thank you guys for listening.